You're watching the Music Roundtable with Eric Peter Mortensen, Marius Shamir, and special guests Marie Caruso and Virginia Kakoff. Hey Marie, how are you doing today?
Wait, I thought this was not like a new
It's good to have you. It's good to have you back for part two.
Everything's great.
Excellent, excellent. So Marie, as we were talking before, can you tell us a little bit about what it's like to perform live these days, and if it's even worth it for some to do it if the measures aren't in place, or we were comparing things to like frontline workers and teachers, that kind of thing. Tell us a little bit about your feelings about performing and even practicing live these days in a choir setting.
Well, I don't have experience with performing live
Right.
because I don't know many groups or people that are doing that, except for outdoors. Now, yesterday I saw a concert. It was a klezmer violinist, and it was held in a backyard. And there were maybe 15, 20 people there, separated. And there was a bucket of where to place money. So he did raise some money, but it was very pleasant. But it had to be at a certain particular time of the day so you could see him. And also so that there wasn't too much sun on people. It's problematic to be in a backyard or outdoors if you don't have shade or a proper environment. So I thought it was kind of interesting to see this person performing live and then what it was like. And he talked about, how important it was to try to have some continuity of performance during this time. But I don't see many people trying to do it indoors, except for your experience probably in church.
Were you watching this on the internet or something? How are you watching this live performance?
Oh, no, I was there.
Oh, you were there.
Yes,
Okay. But it was okay because it was outdoors,
it was
right?
outdoors. And people were
And were
still
the
wearing masks, you know.
the performers were wearing masks also?
No,
No.
Okay, but they were sort of separated from each other outdoors,
they were
right?
yes, it was only one performer, a violinist,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a microphone and he had a setup, and he was quite a distance from everybody else, so it felt safe to be there.
Gotcha. And were all the audience members kind of separated themselves? Were they standing? Were they
Yes.
sitting?
No, they were separated. You had to bring your own chair.
Oh my goodness. And I think you had mentioned the other day about your own feelings about performing live and whether or not you would feel safe enough to do that these days. How would
Not
you?
yet. I don't feel safe to do that yet. Some people are. I might feel safer if there was a ventilated room where we could practice, if I was going to practice with my choir, but not the full choir with maybe half a choir at a time. And if the room was ventilated and we were wearing masks but could still sing. And I did get a delivery of these little brackets that you put under your mask. And so it gives you room to breathe. So you're not, and I tried it out with one of the masks. I don't have it here, but it does. It helps you to breathe without having to suck in material.
Oh, we definitely going to need to put that link on the show. You're a very good salesperson. We're going to have to get one for any of us who are choral singers or anything like that.
Right.
Should be asking
I
for
would do that, I'm
royalties.
sure.
And this is very inexpensive compared to what Virginia paid for
Well,
her mask.
touche. Oh my goodness. So yeah, definitely we're going to put a link on that so that everyone can. Did you get it through Amazon?
I got this through, and they're flexible. You could wash them.
Silicone.
They have little hooks on them, so you could put, it depends on what kind of a mask you have. Otherwise, you could just place it there and put your mask over it. If your mask is
How long
tight
did it
enough.
take to get to you?
Oh, right away. It came
You
right
know,
away.
that's really incredible because you got that really right away, but I still have not gotten my month's supply long of paper towels. Every time I order it monthly, it's like, sorry, the order will be delayed. It's been delayed for 6 months now. I don't understand why we
You
can
must be a mess without
Well,
paper towels.
we have to go to the actual local store, but we were getting like nice amounts of paper towels. We get the toilet
Yeah.
paper, thank God, but not the paper towels. So
Well, these
I'm
were
just,
10 in a package.
So
wow.
I've
So
seen
they're,
those, but I saw so many different designs that I was confused as to which one to buy. How did you decide?
I just took it,
You took a
it
chance.
was very inexpensive. So I said it couldn't hurt, or,
Wow. So that look, I want to get some for myself for my regular
Yeah,
job. It's fantastic.
right.
yeah.
Now then I
I
can
would
comply. Yeah.
even that residence mask. I would put one underneath it because it's not that comfortable.
Oh,
A
Okay.
slightly more expensive option that we could kind of hawk on here and put on the video. The Darth Vader masks, that you use for Halloween. I hear they have a breathing apparatus, and they're quite good.
And I guess you don't need to disinfect them every day, right? Just every 3 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
comes complete with the
I,
Is there
filters.
some sort of reference in there that I missed? No, about 3 days.
oh yeah, the Darth Vader masks, like the actual mask that Darth Vader used, are being sold apparently, and they have like an air filtration system.
But that's not good.
They can also
Filtration,
really
if it
lower your
lets it
voice
out.
very deeply.
Oh,
Oh, that would be great for me because I'm never really truly a bass. That would be very helpful for me. And
yeah, and
any
maybe that A would not be a breaking point for me then, or something. Good.
wow. So, Marie, I think we also were talking about the project that you and I are doing together. The Angelica in Quarantine music CD as well as videos. And after you tell us a little bit about that, I want to get Virginia's perspective on how those are going as you make them. So tell me a little bit about how you've gotten your group to send me their audio and send me their tracks. And then I'll also tell you how I fix them or align them on my end. So you go first.
well, first it was the repertory that we were going to perform. So we were practicing it already, and we felt fairly confident with the material. So each person, I chose who was going to do which song, and each person then would have to submit their music, which is the way most groups are doing it now. But they would submit it to me first, and then I would forward it to you. So when they submitted it to me, it would usually be in 3 or 4 parts because I told them that they could do it if it was helpful to do it in chunks, they could do it in measures like 1 through 25 and then 25 through 50, etc. Or if they stopped midway, they could start from where they stopped. And so I would put that together before I would send it to you. And then you would make magic out of it.
Well, that's very kind. I'm actually, I'm very. I didn't realize that you guys had practiced this before you were doing the project, because I thought, oh my God, they know this so well without even having gotten together during isolation. So now I understand that you have at least practiced it before, right? And
Yes.
thank you for putting them together for the most part, because it would have taken me forever. I will give a little bit of behind the scenes on how I've gotten it to really mesh. And purists might frown upon this thing that I do, but it's kind of like people frowning at Photoshop. Everyone does it. Photoshop, I mean, people that look great look better. And people that look okay look great. So, people are used to seeing polished final products, A quality products. So what I understand that because of the difficulties, and I'm a singer too, because of the difficulties of not being together, able to tune and time exactly with a conductor, there are going to be minor variations on pitch and minor variations um, on timing. But the most important thing that I asked you guys was to give me good expression and to give me very good diction, because if I have those things, modern technology like I use is able to align them in a way that sounds as natural and as good as you would have sung them live. So I'm not like making you sound better. I'm just taking what's coming out of the isolation filter and restoring, that's what I like to say, restoring how good you actually were. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like Michelangelo looking at the marble. He said, I do not create the sculpture. I just reveal what's already in the block of marble. And that's how I see you guys. You're sending me the block of marble. I'm just revealing what was there and letting it shine forward. So what I'm
He's just
also
chiseling
doing, I
away
don't
at you.
say again.
He's just chiseling away at you.
I'm just like, no, I'm just revealing the great stuff that's already there. I don't like overdo it, like so you become like Cher. Do you believe in love after love? You know, that auto tune thing is not what I do, but I see the software is able to see what your intention was, and I just push it towards your intended target. That's all I do. So, and it comes out great. And then when I finish that, um, th- the good thing is that before we send you the recording tracks, we do have this thing with a metronome and any retards that we have so that the singers who are doing it at their home can hear as if there's a conductor. And I think that makes it a little bit easier. And when I get it back, you know, if there's a little bit of deviation from that conducting track, and we've already included the natural retards in that conducting track, if there's a little deviation, the software can tell that it deviated from where the clicks were supposed to be. And it's a lot easier to have that than for me to get a lot of loose tracks that were not timed at all. That would have been much more difficult. So thank you for that. And then when the thing is aligned, you guys do a really great, sometimes do a great video on top of that as well. So we can do a virtual choir kind of scenario. Virginia, can you tell me a little bit about what it's like for you to participate in this project?
It's both rewarding and frustrating.
Oh.
I actually just recorded my last assigned pieces last night, which was quite. It's Tank Nota by Kodai, and for one thing, the way I set it up, I have to use a Bluetooth earphone, which is not quite loud enough, so I have to adjust the audio. I have to rebalance it so that I can hear the clicks and everything. And also, after I recorded it, I found out the beginning's supposed to be forte. And I realized I cannot sing forte against that recording. So I don't know if I sent it in, I did an entire recording with some flaws, and then I did the last part, which I thought I did better, and then I did the first part, and then I did it slowed down so that maybe I was more accurate, and I know that you could speed it up by 75%. But I find that when I'm singing to a MIDI, I cannot sing full out because I'm listening too much. And also, I cannot tune to the overtones of a MIDI. It just doesn't work. So it's frustrating. And I haven't had anything rejected, but I always wonder. I know. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to send this. It just has to, this is what it is, you know? And also I have an overbite, so it's very hard. I have a little lisp, so it's very hard for me to enunciate. And that's a big problem in singing, I know. But
I haven't rejected a single thing you sent, Virginia. And you know what? A couple of times, and I've gotten to know your studio space better because a lot of times I hear the air conditioner and like the cat screaming and the birds. So when I know that your tracks are coming, I know how to get rid of those parts that we don't want. So
well, that's good.
Yeah,
I turn the air conditioner off. Sometimes you might hear my refrigerator singing. I think that's
whatever
what
it is. We don't need. We only want the Virginia part. We don't want the machinery part, and that's a big problem also because everyone does not have a great microphone. Everyone doesn't have a quiet space. So I have to. Every person has a different recording when they send. They're all different. So I have to take each person and have a setting for them that I know will filter out certain frequency sounds to give it a very. When you hear the recordings, you're like, oh my God, they all sang in the same room. But it's not the case. I had to make it all sound as if you were in the same room. But you all now are experiencing what many actors experience when they're making Hollywood films. This is called ADR, or automatic dialogue replacement. What does that mean? So ADR is when you're on the set, you have a microphone, and they capture your dialogue. All thrusters forward, Captain, right? But usually an airplane runs over the set at that time, usually. So what they do is they bring you back into the studio as the actor. They give you the headphones. They let you watch what you were saying when you said, all thrusters forward, you do several takes of that, and they have a nice clean sound on that. So we're doing it in reverse. We're doing automatic video replacement. So I'm getting the audio first, and then I'm getting you back so that you do the video on top. It's just the way that technology works in isolation. It's a little bit, as you said, challenging, time-consuming, but very rewarding when it all comes together. Let's see.
I still miss singing together.
Absolutely, we all do, I think. But
I
what
mean, that's the hardest part. I mean, the hardest part is that that's where we were lucky to have 2 months or a month and a half of rehearsals before the pandemic started. And so we were able to actually make a lot of notes of what we wanted to do in the music. We were able to like figure out where we want to breathe together, where we want to, you know, follow dynamics or not.
And didn't you mention, I think, to me at one point that you kind of miss actually having people together because it's a lot more challenging when you're together to hear somebody else on a different part than your part. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's very challenging to stay in tune, I find, for most, and to stay or to lose tuning together. It's very, very difficult for the whole group to, I find that there's usually a pitch problem, and we work very hard on just improving that. And so that's something that you could remedy, but we
Yeah,
have
but
more difficulty when we're, right?
I've recorded you many times live, and I'm always amazed how great you guys sound live. And that's a testament to the hard work that you put in to getting all that tuning right hour after hour behind the scenes. I feel like I got the easy job because I can make it that good without having to rehearse myself.
Mhm.
You know, you
Right.
guys have to put all that time in. And in lieu of that, you can call me your rehearsal guy because I like take what you do and I bring it as if I know how you sound live. So I bring it to that level as much as I possibly can without sounding artificial or fake. I try to make it
Mhm.
sound human. And the delivery is so far, I think everything we've done, it's all sounded great. And I think people are reacting to that, right?
I've gotten so many compliments on those recordings from people I didn't even know listened to them.
Wow. You know, I
And we
actually
have a
had
couple more. Yeah.
I think you all know, Marie knows a new client of mine, Tim Lewis, and he has not published his recording of Dum Complementur by Palestrina yet, but he and I both mentioned that when we were watching that, we were both moved to tears of joy because it was just, it's kind of like when you do things that you don't expect. There's like the visuals, there's the audio, there's the lyrics. It's all happening that can't happen live in some points. So there are some times when he says it's very good reminder to show people how moving great choral music can be and how important it is even during this time of isolation. I just want to do a little plug for our music roundtable here, guys. This is a roundtable for anyone who loves music or anyone who creates music, which is probably the majority of the planet, I hope. Assuming they don't get rid of music in school anymore. But if you love music, if you create music, please drop us a comment on the bottom if you'd like to be a panelist, whether you're an amateur or a pro and would like to talk about some interesting topics. Please, we would love to have you. Or if you don't want to be a panelist, but you want us to discuss certain topics, also, tell us in the comments below, and we will try to get a panel together that can discuss the topics of interest. This is for everyone. Kind of like the actor behind the actors. Marius, describe why did we come up with a music roundtable?
Well, we did a study and 9 out of 10 cats approved, and obviously cats are very popular on YouTube, so we just had to do something, right?
Right.
No, I'm kidding. The reason that we got the music roundtable together was that we wanted to do something. We all love music. We felt that there's something out there where we see people doing these kinds of virtual choirs, and not even just choirs, just music online where people are collaborating. And we just felt like there was such a need for people to have some sort of content out there that spoke to what they love. And so that's what this is that we talk about what we love, music, and we get to occasionally throw in videos of performances, which is kind of cool, and then people talk about it afterwards. So it's just a very cathartic kind of thing for people to participate in and watch, and hopefully at some point perform if we could do that.
Wonderful.
But
We,
but
we,
yeah,
we were looking at some technology, right, Marie? And what was your impression of the technology that you were reading about, Marie?
Oh, I said that you had to be an engineer to really put it together. I'm
So
still in the middle of reading some of the notes or some of the directions. Just very complicated. And also need to have,
I do this
um,
like, yeah,
you also need to have certain components,
yeah,
like what do you call those? What do you call those?
Audio
inter,
interface?
An
interface,
interface. Right.
right?
I don't have one. Do you
I
have
want you to say that 10 times fast, okay?
one?
USB interface, USB. I
Virginia,
actually,
you have
I have all the equipment. I have all the equipment. I need the time and the mindset to put it together. And I think Jamulus is the one I'm going to work with. I took a look at a video of how to set up Jamulus. There are just a couple of things that seem difficult, like the buffering and the finding. If I had to set up the server, I'd be in trouble. But maybe connecting to somebody else's server would not be so difficult.
So
So
can I
I'm
ask you a question
Virginia,
about?
you're a perfect spokeswoman of why not to use Zoom. You just had like a 3-second lag from your mouth to the audio, and that's one of the problems with Zoom, right?
right. Yes.
Huge lags. And imagine if just four of us have a lag, anyone with more than five people. I mean, one of our first music videos, I just did the best that I took the average person because there were people that were 3 seconds ahead. There were people that were 3 seconds behind. And, it was crazy. Go ahead, Mary, say something.
I don't know, Eric, if you remember this, but we actually had a conversation about setting up servers that were specific to Jamulus that would allow people to rock on and do their sessions. The whole idea would be that it would be specifically set up for Jamulus and just for Jamulus. I don't know if anybody out there has the technical ability to do that, but I think that would be something that a lot of musicians would actually like and would pay for. So if anybody's out there that's technically familiar or is a wizard guru with technology, we'd like to talk.
I think it would be
There's
very...
a my friend Tom Frankel has been doing a lot of Jamulus. I don't know where he gets his servers from, but maybe I will put him in touch with you. Okay.
Yeah, the key is really, I think, to set up both like, for example, my parents have a 1 terabyte connection. Most of us have, most of us have, mere mortals, have connections that are way slower than that. So, I mean, if we were to set up a server that had a 1 terabyte up and down, by the way, download and upload, if there was something like that that was optimized for Jamulus, I think that that might be a service that musicians would really enjoy. Yeah.
And no offense, but the participants would probably need to live in an area that can support that kind of bandwidth. People who are living out in isolated places, unfortunately, like you, Marius, don't have always access to this kind of bandwidth.
Correct. The upload particularly would be difficult because my upload, for example, for those who understand internet connections, is 1 or 2 megabits per second, which is absolutely horrific. The download is still not that great, 12 megabits per second. So there's a lot of latency that occurs when I do things with other people that require a lot of bandwidth. So obviously it wouldn't work for everybody, but for people that live in New York and places like that, it would be tremendously helpful to have a server that's dedicated for that if they have a decent connection, and then everybody could really, get on board and do it well.
So do you have, that's your wired speed or your wireless speed?
That's my wired speed. It's really bad. I'm in West Virginia. If you ever look it up on a map, it's Green Spring, which is in the middle of nowhere. It's like 15 minutes for me just to get to the nearest main road. And it's also by the river. So I had a week here where our internet connection was completely out, and the company just is really bad. And I'm sure lots of people in America have the same kind of problems where they're in rural places and they don't have the best of connections, which also it cuts down on people's job opportunities. Because if you can't actually have a high-speed connection, let's say if you're a musician, then you're struggling because you can't actually do the things that you want to do.
And imagine if you're a student that has to learn from home in those areas. That would be very hard as well.
Yeah, I was just talking with Gwen Toth from Emmanuel Church this morning, and we're talking about doing virtual things, and she's actually teaching. She teaches college kids, young college kids of color, and they're pushing them to use, I think, Jack Trip or one of those. And she says, these kids are living hand to mouth, and they can't afford this equipment. It costs about $200 really to get the equipment. So how is she supposed to teach the music? You really can't do that unless you have the capacity to the software and the hardware is available, but it's too hard to use in so many different ways, economically as well as just in terms of difficulty of setting it up.
That's why, however we vote this election cycle, we have to support people that are in favor of technology that will help people that work in rural areas get the kind of jobs that they need to get that require high bandwidth speed. In other countries, they have speeds that way outstrip us, and the governments there have collectively worked on boosting their speed nationwide, and we're actually lagging far behind the rest of the world. So, I mean, if that were actually something that you voted on and was important, then, maybe we could get funding for stuff like that nationwide. It's just like the highways. The highways in the United States were actually built by the U.S. government for the purposes of transporting goods over long distances following World War II, because they had all these parts and equipment that they needed to get to the docks as quickly as possible in order to get overseas to help the folks overseas, during World War II. We were actually supplying even before we got into the war. And once we got into the war, we had to get all the parts and all the things that we put together out to the docks and shipped right overseas. So it's a national imperative, I think, that we'll fall behind and our economy will fall behind if we don't get people that understand that our lifeblood right now is information.
Yep.
Bar none. So, we actually have to have something like this, not just for musicians, but for everybody.
Marius, last but not least, I think that all three of us, and I think all of our listeners, many of them who are working, and now they're working from home for the first time. Many of us have lost our regular live performance jobs or our teaching jobs, all that kind of stuff. You were going to talk to us a little bit about how do we survive? How do we monetize our musical brands? What do we do to? And I think Virginia had some information on this too, but I'll let Marius go first. What were you? Well, you had a friend that's doing something, right, Virginia?
Yeah, should I mention names? I have a friend who's a viol player, a double bass player in the Chicago area, and he has been extremely busy. He recorded dozens of viol consorts, part by part, and he is selling that as music -1. He will do anything for you. He is giving lessons. He is providing videos. He's offering any service. He is making editions of music. He will make you an edition of music if you want to pay him. And he has it all on his beautiful website. And I just got like an e-blast from him the other day laying it all out. So he is pushing really hard.
Well,
and I admire him.
Congratulate him. He sounds very organized. Not everyone is able to do the website route these days. Marius, what do you think about things like Patreon and YouTube monetization, that kind of thing?
I think for people that don't have money, that can't build their own websites, and even for people that do have money, using social media platforms can be a very powerful tool in order to forward your potential music as a business. I really think that's the way you got to think about it. If you ever look at YouTube, there are people that have channels online that have all sorts of different content. So for example, let's say I'm a musician and I want to actually get my level of engagement, subscribers to 1,000. And I want to get my level of hours up to 4,000. That's where you start monetizing, right? Once you, in order to get even to that point, let me start from that. In order to even get to that point, what you have to have is constant content that you're posting. And that's very hard to do, particularly when, like if you were to do a piece of music, just to compose a piece of music, takes forever, right? Or maybe not forever, but it takes you time.
You got to prepare it. You
Yeah.
got to, yeah.
So even doing that and then putting a video together, it's daunting for anybody. So the way to kind of to flip the script, so to speak, is to get people to get content to you. So for example, one of the things, there's a tool that I showed Eric the other day called boast.io, not .com, boast.io. And boast.io basically collects testimonials from people. And let's say if I want to perhaps use a video, then I want to poll people, or if I want to get some testimonials about how it made people feel, I can then collect testimonials, video from people. That's content. So now I'm collecting content from other people in order to then put it right back out there and use that video that I've collected. And now I don't have to work twice as hard just to post content. Another thing is vlogs. For those who know what blogs are basically the same thing, except you're doing it through video. And so, for example, you can do a lot of things. I, at one point, was 300 pounds. I was very overweight. And I did a continual vlog about my weight loss. And so I posted that, and progressively I had content every day. I would go out and walk. I would just take a walk. And I'd have the camera, and I would record myself as I recorded my thoughts on how I was doing the weight loss and how I could relate to other people that were there. So that's a vlog. And a vlog could be, again, something that you do every day, just talking. And as long as you're talking about something that's engaging and you try to make it funny and you try to, maybe cut out the dead spaces, you get an editing tool of some sort for video, then you can actually go and put that content out easily, because it's a no-brainer. You don't have to compose. You don't have to do all those kinds of things. So that's another idea. There are all sorts of things that, if you really think about it, you can create content where it's not taxing your time. And at the same time, another idea is a mashup. You take things from different sources and you combine it into a video that you create and you post online. So now once you've got all this content up and you're posting every day, it's important not to over post, right? It's important not to flood your channel with all sorts of different things. And so it's to keep it streaming just slowly onto the channel. And what starts happening is that people start coming back to the channel, and then you start engaging them, because you'll get notifications that say so-and-so said this. Okay, now your role is to engage, so that now they're involved in that content, and it's a feedback loop. And the YouTube channel should also source back to your social media. So for example, let's say if you're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you're in your videos, you should say, and this should be the same thing across your brands, at something. So for example, I just created a brand literally last night, which was at Dream Potion 9. Yes. At Dream Potion 9 now is across, and by the way, folks, it's not up and running yet, but it's across the brands, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And now anytime that somebody looks at that, they can plug it into one of those social media platforms, and bingo, they're at the place where I'm on social media. And then it becomes, again, another feedback loop, because now people there are now looking for the YouTube site and the YouTube content. So it's an never-ending cycle that feeds back on itself. And that's how you build, people that are going to follow. And once people are following you and you get to the monetization point, now you're making money.
What do you think? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yes. I've also noticed that I've been doing a lot of meetups for various kinds of music, and occasionally professionals will come on there and they'll join the meetup just, because it's enjoyable, like showcase ukulele hours. And they get fans through that, and usually you're asked to post your links, and then they get people who follow them. They start their own thing. They get people who buy their recordings, people who take lessons from them. I mean, that's another way, is to actually go in and engage on Zoom and meet people. That's an excellent way, I think.
Cool. Marius, what do you think about things like Patreon and exclusive content for subscription services? What do you think about that?
So the thing about Patreon is that I think we were talking about this last week, and actually this is a little way to come back to that. That all since the beginning of time, artists have been performing, and let's say if there were street performers, they would have like a little bucket, or they'd have something in the street, and they would perform, and people would come in and they would give some coins. There would be patrons. That's where the word comes from. And so the thing with Patreon is to provide something in the beginning, just like you are on the YouTube channel and the social media we're talking about. That's for free. But at the same time, you could create outtakes of what you do. You could create things that are special behind the scenes kinds of things. And now what you do is you say to people, here's the Patreon site if you want special exclusive content that nobody else is going to get. And you direct them there, and they can get a membership. And then that membership is recurring money. So let's say it's something small, $5 a month. It doesn't have to be big. If you get $5 a month for 12 months, and then you get multiple people doing that, now you're really talking about some real recurring income. So the idea of doing Patreon is to create something where you can do a membership structure that provides people with something that is providing them value. And that's true in any kind of nonprofit. For example, nonprofits, that's the way that they work, is that the reason that like somebody would join a trade nonprofit is, let's say if I'm an engineer and there's special things for training engineers that can only be found through that nonprofit. It's the same thing with music. So for example, if Eric has a particular specialty with classical music, and he could teach about, what was that, the two-part?
Writing how to write music with two instruments only.
Right.
With just two instruments. Yeah.
Right. So that's something that's very particular. And so you could use particular content that maybe you or maybe few people don't really know or understand, and now you use that as part of your membership. That's one way.
For Angelica, for Marie, you do a lot of women's choir stuff, and you actually have to take public domain scores and arrange them for women's voices. And that's a unique skill and a service that many women's choirs would enjoy. And maybe not just even women's choirs, maybe men's choirs, they would just sing it an octave lower. So you could actually have some content like that through your Patreon site as additional bonus content that you make available every month. Here's a new edition of Lossless 3-part music. Here's a new, Barbara Straussy kind of thing, or whatever you're working on. In addition to that, you might even take your members' recording scenes, have them videotape themselves. And look, here's how we recorded this video. Here's how we put it together. Kind of stuff like that.
Some people literally lack the technical skills when it comes to some of these things. And so something that's instructional can be incredibly valuable.
Or entertaining. You
and entertaining. Yeah, absolutely. Make it fun.
There's a ukulele teacher who she has a structure. She has a $3 membership where you get music each month. She has a $5 membership where you get something else, and she has like a more expensive one where you get a lesson, a group lesson with her every month that she teaches a song. And
right.
she has her membership vote on the songs that she involves them in a way so that there's a structure, so that the people who are subscribed feel like they are learning and improving their skills, and that keeps them coming back.
That's perfect. That's
By the way, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
The other thing I was going to add is that YouTube has now added membership structures. So here's the next level. The next level is when you get up to 30,000 subscribers. Now you can actually do memberships that are on YouTube as well. That's another way you can do that. The other thing about Patreon is that sponsorships. Let's say you've got something that's really, really high quality, and I'm talking super high quality, or performing at special events. You could be a choir, and you say, we can perform at a special event for somebody that's wealthy. That could be a sponsorship.
Mhm.
That could be $10,000. That could be
That's
major
cool.
money.
So
I don't
Maria,
really relate to a lot of this stuff, I have to say,
No.
because I feel that the it's been getting very dark in here all of a sudden. But I feel like it's Angelica does not the repertory does not appeal to a huge amount of people. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
well, but you don't need to appeal to a huge amount of people, just like the
Well, you're talking
1,000
about
people that like what you're doing.
30,000. You're talking about a large amount of.
Well, we were just talking about the topic, and I was just riffing, about
Yeah, but I
possibilities,
mean,
not
I don't think
necessarily.
Angelica would ever be that in, I mean, it seems to be a, a repertory that is very eccentric or very unique in a way, and I don't know if there can be that large of even when I go to early music concerts, there's not like a huge audience.
Yeah.
I was
So
just talking in abstractly about different ways you can make money, and so I mean, maybe for you, the kind of thing you want to look at is something smaller like memberships, something like that.
But the other thing is to discover what it is that people might be interested in. Like, as EP said, maybe simple three-part arrangements and working together with people who are interested in learning how to sing this. I took an online
I'm
singing
not
class.
interested in that, but
You're
I
not?
mean,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, certainly,
Okay.
I mean,
You don't need to do
I'm
that.
still teaching. I mean, I'm busy. I don't
Okay.
need to
You're
have
busy.
Right.
monetize in that way. It would be
Good.
nice though for Angelica to have an additional income, because now that we stopped, that's what I was saying, that we always we had ample income because what we did was we gave concerts, and by concerts we charged, and so people paid for it. We also gave concerts where we were paid to give them, so that we made money that way. And then we also had patrons who saw us and liked us and then gave money. And they kept on giving, because we kept on having concerts. So now when you're not having concerts, now I have to find a new way of asking for money. And
Yeah.
so that's what I was saying is where I'd like, to investigate this next approach of
Well,
what
what
do I
about what
Right.
Eric is doing with these virtual choirs? Would that be an option for you?
They
We're
are
doing that.
That's what they're doing right now.
Oh yeah.
We are
Okay. Well,
doing that.
there you go.
Yeah.
But we have to reach more people. And the thing is, what you said about social media, I mean, they get tired of the same things all the time. So if you keep on posting, a new YouTube, it's not like as interesting as it was the first time you posted it.
Well,
Uh,
that's
I don't
where
feel like there are as many.
viral kind of things come into play. So, for example, and if you for everybody, including those who are watching this at home, there's a book called Contagious by Jonah Berger. This is a fantastic book, and it's about the whole title is Contagious: Why Things Catch On. And so let me give you an example. I saw a fantastic group, that does these things where they perform surprise kind of things. It's like they did this thing with an office building, and they were opening up this new office building, and they had all these people that were, in the crowd. They were going to do a ribbon ceremony where they cut the ribbon, and everybody can go in. And what they did was they actually had some of these performers as part of the crowd. And so when they said, let's do the ribbon cutting, they said, wait a minute, we could do this better. This was all planned, obviously. And so these people, they start coming around out of the crowd one by one, like one person will perform and do something, and then another would come, and then another would come. And then before you know it, it's like they're all out there, and then all the people that are waiting to go into the building, they're entertained. And now this is something that I'm telling you, the virality of this, I think it was 1 million views or something like that. whatever it was. It was just a phenomenal idea. And they do this all the time. They do weddings, they do all sorts of different things. And so it's just a very simple idea of taking something that doesn't happen every day and or taking something that you do every day, right? You perform and you sing, and taking that and putting it into the environment of something that doesn't happen every day. Now you've got something that's viral, because when you got something that doesn't that you don't see every day, that in a sense, in its own essence, is something that people want to watch. So there are various things that you can think of how to put it together so that it has that viral potential, where you're not doing something that's like everybody else and where it's the same all the time. It just takes a little creative thinking.
So let's have Angelica go down by the river and take off all our clothes and sing.
Now let's go down to the river and strip. Da, 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 da. Oh my goodness. Do we have to censor this video? Anyway, well, I was thinking something much simpler, like you guys are like waiting online for something to open, like a theater, or when it's safe to go back and.
We're doing virtual videos.
I said when it's time to go back and it's safe, right?
Okay.
And all of a sudden you start breaking out into the ceremony of carols one by one. Like da, 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 and then like you all start going down. Be fun. I don't know, something like that.
Or providing personalized songs for people.
Or you could take some chant and put like new words like "Happy Birthday" to so and so on that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's exactly what they
thing,
did in the wedding video. They took this wedding video, and this guy said that he was the chef. He came out, he said he was the chef. And, the staff would just forced him to come out here and sing something. Obviously, again, this is a ruse. And he came out there, and he started singing towards the bride. And then one of the staff came out and like, that's not right, right? Let's do it the right way. I'm going to improvise a little bit. And then they started with the improvisation, and it just escalated. And all the time the bride's there, she's blushing, she's like beet red. And, there you go. It's just one of those things. It's just so fun to watch. It's just amazing.
And, what I was going to tell Marie is don't be discouraged by the fact that you think that there's not that many people interested in exactly what you're doing. You don't need the whole world to be interested in what you're doing.
I'm not complaining at all. I think that we're doing great, and we're doing a CD. I mean, and also I think that Angelica there aren't many groups that are in the black like Angelica.
Right.
I've handled the finances very well. And so there's, we still have a couple of CDs to make. We still have you to take care of, and we still have Rex to take care of, and we're doing all of it. And it's amazing that we're doing all of it. And
right. I just wanted to add, Marie, that what you could probably specialize is taking advantage of what's called a micro niche. You have a micro niche that those are the people that you want to market to, not everyone.
I do, but also you have to learn not to bother people too much. Just like the way Marius was saying in the beginning with YouTube, you can't overload people. So like you don't want to keep on sending out emails, and you have to time when you're going to send out an email. Right. And so I'm getting ready for that point because I'm up to that. I'm wondering if I should wait until Giving Tuesday, because that's Giving Tuesday is a big day of
Marie, what you said is so valuable. We're going to have you back on the panel to tell us all how to do that. You're going to teach us all how to do that, okay? How to restrain ourselves and ask at the right time. That's a really good lesson, right? We all get excited about what we do, and it can become spam, as well. So we have to be careful.
I have one more thing to add to all of this is that I'm not so interested in going viral. I mean, if we went viral for some musical reason, fine. But I don't need to go viral for, marching down to the river and doing something crazy. I really just want to make beautiful music and have a nice, an audience that really appreciates what we're doing. And that's my goal. I mean, I don't feel like I need to be world famous or to have like a moment of viral YouTubes going around. And I don't
You don't want to do a chorus line of Dancing Santas?
No.
Or Mrs. Santas, I shouldn't say that.
But I do love EP. I love your creativity, and I love what you've been doing with the videos, and I love what you, even when we haven't done too many of these, but I would like to do more of them when we actually have our uh, people
The virtual choir thing.
right, and that where they submit their videos. I
Right.
would like to do more of that now, and we could talk about that.
I'm very
I
excited
think
to
it's
help.
very creative, and I love what you're doing. I think it's great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I enjoy making things come to life for all of the people that I work with. So thank you, everyone, for coming on this panel. I think that we've covered everything that we want to today, yes?
At least.
Yeah, and more even. So thank you very much. Again, for those of you that are watching, this is the Music Roundtable. For anyone who loves to listen to or to create music, this channel is for you. And we want you to participate whichever way you like. You can give us a comment about you can react to the content that we're giving. Say, I didn't know about that, or can you tell me more about this? You can even suggest new content for our future panels. And if you want to be a panelist, whether you are a listener, an amateur, or professional musician, we would welcome you. Let's just drop a comment. We'll try to get to you and schedule a time where you can be one of our panelists. And hopefully we can have you, Marie, and Virginia back at some other point in the future. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank you so much.
for involving me.
Thanks. Nice work.
Bye.
Have a good evening.
Take care.